Good morning. So we're working on 5.5 to 5.7 quiz. And oh my gosh, it's such an easy one. So when we look at it, it says 16%. So when we think of 16%, we think of 100. And 16 out of 100% means of 100. So 16 little boxes will get checked. And then we're going to write it as a fraction in simplest terms. So again, you would put 16 over 100. And then you would have to simplify. So when we look at 16 over 100, we know that we have to simplify. So we have 16%, and that's going to equal 16 out of 100, because remember, percent means 100, or out of 100. And we can divide both of these two numbers. Well, we can do it really the simplest way, which would be divide by 2. But there's a number that is bigger than that. And when I think of 100, I always think of how many times things can go in 100. Usually the easiest one would be 25s, and there's 4 25s. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to go 4 into 16 is going to give me 4, and 4 into 100 is going to give me 25. Since there's not a number that can go into both 4 and 25, I am done. This is as simple as this answer can be. Now, for question number 2, we do the exact opposite. If we divide the percent to find the fraction, then we do the opposite. We multiply the fraction to make it a percent. So let's take a look at 3 over 25. Again, the easiest way when we look at 3 over 25 is to think of this as 100. How can we get that to 100%? 25 times what is going to give us 100? Well, it would be 4. So then we have to multiply the 3 times 4, and that will give us our top number, or our numerator. Good luck. And when we get our numerator, it's the exact same thing as what we just had done. 16 over 100 equals 16%. So this number right up here, when we take that 3 and we multiply it by 4, that will give us our percent of 3 over 25, or 3/25 will be the same percentage. So 3 times 4 is going to give us 12, and that answer is going to be 12%. You got to love the percents. All right, 30% of 60 is what number? So what they want to know is if I took 60 and I divided it into thirds, or almost thirds, what would that be? Okay, so 30% of 60, what we have to do is we have to multiply 30%. When we do that, we turn it back into a decimal. So we turn this into 0.3. And we're going to multiply our 0.3, or our 0.30, times our 60. So we change this 30%, we move it 2 times, so we make it into a decimal. So we add our zeros here, and 3 times 6 is going to give me 18, and then I have to move my 2 zeros. And my answer is going to be 18 is my total. Okay, so with this problem, I want you to think of this as a couple of different ways. Let's say you go to the store and you want to buy a shirt for $34, and you have to pay 85%, or they're knocking 15% off of the shirt. If that were the case, then we would do the exact same thing that we just did to that problem. We would take our 85% and we would multiply it by 34, and we would get the amount that we would actually have to pay. But this is not what this is asking. This question right here is asking, there's some number, and when I multiply that number by 85%, I get 34. So this number is going to be bigger than the 34. Okay, so this is they're telling us what the price is, and you want to know what the original price was. Okay, so we have 85%. So the last one, what we did was multiplication. Well, if you think of opposites, what is the opposite? Would be division. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 85% over here, and here's our 85%. Well, we have to move it from a decimal point to a whole number, so we have to move it over here. So when we do that, we do the same thing to our 34. We have to move it 2 places over, because whatever we do at the outside to our divisor, we have to also do to our dividend. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find our quotient. We're going to put our decimal point up the top, and we know that x has got to be bigger than 34, because 34 is only 85% of the original x. So we're going to go 85 into 34. and I'm going to guess it at 40 because 4 times 5 is going to give me 20. And they're really kind of nice to you guys about giving you whole numbers. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 is going to give us 34. So now we still have a 0 here. So our original price, our original price was $40. And 85% of that would be 34. So then we could always check our answer by doing the exact opposite. And when we multiply 85, we are going to end up back with 34. Okay, so our total answer for that problem is 40. It was $40 was the original number. Okay, you're converting inches to feet. When we do that, we take our 168 and we divided that inches into feet. Well, 12 inches equals 1 foot, so we're going to take 168 divided by 12. 12 into 168. You can do this. Okay, so your next problem is going to require you to know how many feet are in a mile. There is, for 1 mile, there is 5,280 feet. And they want to know how many, which one is bigger? Is the 5,280 feet bigger? About that, I wasn't explaining that correctly. 21,000 feet, is it bigger than 4 miles or less than 4 miles? Okay, so we're going to take our 21,000 feet and we're going to multiply our 5,280 feet times 4. Why times 4? Because they're asking for 4 miles, and we need to know how many feet are in 4 miles. For 4 times 0 is going to give us 0. 8 times 3 is going to give us 32. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry the 1. And then we have, 5 times 4 plus our 1 is 21. So when we look at this, which one is larger? Well, our 21,120 is larger than 21,000. So let's go back to the problem. And which way would we have it? Well, our 4 miles would be bigger. So our arrow would be going towards the smallest number, and our wide mouth would go towards the biggest number. So we would select this one. Okay, so again, we have to do a conversion here. And the lucky, nice thing that they're always going to do for us is they're always going to give us the formulas. So for here, we have 1 kilometer equals 0.621371 miles. So when I look at these numbers right here, the 62, this next number is a 1, a 3, so most likely it's going to just round up to 62. So I'm going to take this 0.62 and I'm going to multiply it times 90. So 0, 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 6 is going to give me 54, plus 1 is 55. I use my decimal place, I move it over twice, 1, 2, and my answer is 55.8. Well, I have to round up to the nearest one, so that 8 is going to round up, and that's going to make this number 56. So we're going to go back to our original problem. And our original problem says the rate of 90 kilometers per hour is approximately how many miles per hour? So 90 kilometers per hour is about roughly, means kind of equal to 56 miles per hour. Here comes another conversion problem. This time we're converting hours to minutes. And so a speed of 55 miles per hour is equal to how many feet per minute? Maybe they're doing like a movie and they need to know exactly where somebody's going to stop. So we have 55 miles per hour, and we're going to multiply, in order to convert our hour into minutes, we're going to multiply the 55 miles times 60. And again, I always like to do it the easiest way. So always, if there's a 0 anywhere, I put it at the bottom of my multiplication. So I've got 0. 6 times 5 is going to give me 30. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is 33. And see how easy this is. And we're going to move it. Oops. No, we don't have to move anything. So we have 3,300. Sorry, my bad. This is actually going to require a complicated formula, and I'm just not willing to go there with us. So I'm just going to stop it right there. Fill in an answer for that. It's going to be 4840, and you're good to go. Again, fill in your answer for exercise 8. I'm going to give you the 10 points. It's one of those that I'd have to teach to the question, and I don't like that, and it's just a waste of time. So we're just going to move down to number 9. So they want us to find the area, but first thing we have to do is find out what is the height. 75% of W, the width is 20. So it's 75% of 20. So we know that it's not going to be bigger than 20. It's going to be less than 20. So if you think of a TV, a rectangle, its width is 20, and we want to know what the height is. So the height is going to be less. So we take our 75%, we put our decimal right there nice and big, and we multiply it by the number 20. So what we end up with is 15. So our width is 15. Sorry, I'm batting 1,000 today. The width is 20. The height that we just figured out is 15, and they want to know the area. So in order to find our area, we multiply our width times our height. And again, I always put the 0 at the bottom because it's the easiest way to multiply. 2 times 5 is going to give us 10. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we have 300 as our area. Okay. So now what they do is they add to it. Again, it's the same process that we've been doing. They're just making it a little bit tougher for you. So now you have to read the next part. And it says by percent, how does this area compare to the area of a 20 by 20 screen? Well, what do? We multiply 20 times 20. And the best news is when we multiply 20 times 20, it's as easy as it gets, 0, 0, and we have 400. So our second area is 400. So now we have apples to apples. We're comparing two areas. And what they want to know is what is the difference? And you're going to love how we figure this problem out. It's so easy. So now what they want to know is what is the ratio of the 300 to the 400, or what is the percentage of it? So we take our 3 over our 4. And again, you know me, I like to get rid of zeros. So here's my zeros, and what I'm left with is 3/4. When I move this to a percentage, I could move this 4 to 100, and I can move this times 25, which is how I got to there. 4 times 25 gives me 100. When I multiply 3 times 100, 3 times 75, 3 times 25, it's going to give me 75. And so my percentage will be 75%. Now, I know that that looks super easy, and it is. 300 over 400, and we're just going to get rid of our zeros. We're left with 3/4. We have to multiply it out to get to our percentage. 4 times 25 gives us 100. 3 times 25 gives us 75, and our percentage for this answer is 75%. Last question, or we're well below 15 minutes. We have 18 out of our 25 students in our class have turned in permission slips. What is the percentage? So we write it as a fraction, 18 out of 25. How do we get to 25 to 100%? We multiply by 4. So what do we have to do to the 18 to get to the percentage? We have to multiply that by 4. 18 times 4 is going to give us 72. So our percentage is 72%. Ta-da! We're done with percentages. Woohoo!